Center.
You have now told them.
It's all right, people. You're gonna hear it again.
So let's take one and two together
Yeah.
since they're
Oh, don't worry. We have to. They're very much intertwined. See, the frogs came back. Zombie frogs. Oh, this is it. I'm increasing. Oh, you can decrease.
I know. No, it came as
Oh, did it? I'm slowly but surely increasing. And welcome, Lagos, Nigeria world. It is freshly pressed on Smooth Breakfast with Chocolate Martins. And joining me in the studio for the next half hour, I have got two panelists. And you have come to expect the voice of Mr. C on a Monday morning. Good morning, Mr. C. How you doing?
good morning, Shopper. Good morning, Lagos.
All right. And we have got Wade joining us as well for Monday, making that Tuesday Monday switch. Hi, Wade. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Great to have you on board.
Good morning, Lagos.
And of course, we've got you. Be the third analyst by sending your messages in up on Twitter. Use the hashtag freshlypressed981. Up on WhatsApp, the number to send that into is 0809 444 And of course, we are streaming live up on youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. Leave your comments up on the live stream and we will be able to read them out as we are live. Okay, so let's start off, gents, because a lot has been happening over the weekend and from the week before. And of course, we can't talk about the Russia Ukraine war without talking about its effects on Nigerians who are in there. From this day newspaper, Russia Ukraine war, federal government secures exit routes for Nigerians. Now, in a statement on Sunday by its permanent secretary, Ambassador Gabriel Aduda, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that visa-free passage had been secured for Nigerians fleeing Ukraine. And I've got this quote: "For now, movement to the Hungarian Saoni border and Romanian Suceava, Tulcea, Satumara County, and Maramureș borders is advised as they have approved visa-free access to all Nigerians coming from Ukraine and arrangements for accommodation and feeding before evacuation is arranged." So there is some sort of succor for the Nigerians who are trapped abroad. Because this is here over the weekend, we heard a lot of very concerning information about the treatment of Nigerian and, of course, on the wider scale, African and Indian and foreign students and personnel who were in Ukraine. I mean, what would you say to this now?
Okay, thank you, Shopper. So, first of all, our thoughts go out to all the people who have found themselves caught in the crossfire of this unseen and unnecessary war or invasion started by Russia. Now, just as Shopper said, last week we were inundated with complaints and fears by Nigerians trapped in the Ukraine about their ability to leave the war-stricken country. And it appeared at first as if the Nigerian government wasn't alive to its responsibilities. But it is gratifying to note that they have secured exit routes for Nigerians. And they've identified the 5 exit routes. But beyond identifying them, it is incumbent upon the Nigerian mission in the Ukraine to ensure that these arrangements do not just exist in the air, but actually exist on the ground. Their officials should be there because they have diplomatic duty to ensure that Nigerians are safely moved. And if money is required to get that done, then they should have it. And if they need money from Nigeria, money should be sent. We should anticipate some of these events before they happen. And we do hope that these routes do not become compromised in the days to come, because Russia right now is acting a script that a lot of countries do not understand. And our prayers and thoughts are that Russia does not now target these routes that have been approved for Nigerians and even other nationals to safely leave the Ukraine. And for Nigerians still trapped in the Ukraine, please stay safe. If possible, go to the Nigerian Mission House because you're a citizen of the country. And under international law, they shouldn't attack the embassy. and I stress my words carefully,
Yes,
they
the stress on the
shouldn't.
shouldn't.
But Putin is
Heard
not
that.
obeying international law. He's not respecting international conventions. So we do hope that the Nigerian government is able to get as many of our brothers and sisters out safely before this conflict takes another turn.
And to the people who are on ground in Russia, civilians who are doing very amazing, excellent work in helping their fellow Nigerians and fellow Africans to safely move across the borders and towards the borders. Thank you.
So you just raised something which slipped my mind. Thank you,
Mhm.
Shopper. Now, for the Nigerians in Russia, they need to start really thinking about leaving their country because sanctions will be imposed.
Sanctions
No,
have been
no, no, no.
imposed
These sanctions are this.
even
No,
more.
picture going to a restaurant. You have the starters. A starter is not the main meal. So look at these sanctions as
Mm.
starters. The main ones are coming.
All right, people. Well, you heard from Mr. C. Coming up, we've got this one in from the Punch newspaper. Still on the Russia-Ukraine war, fuel scarcity may continue as all vessels face delay on sea. So we're now bringing it home and how this affects us in Nigeria. But my question is, will this actually affect us in Nigeria? So let me go into the article just a bit. So it says the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine may further prolong the over 3 week scarcity of premium motor spirits as the bulk of the refined products are coming into the country from the warring region and its adjoining areas are likely to face some delays. It was also gathered on Sunday that traders who supply Nigeria with refined petroleum products might pause a little due to the deficit in the supply of crude oil cargoes from the NNPC. I mean, Mrs. C, I'm going to leave this to you. Your thoughts on this?
Okay. Thank you, Shopper. So even before the Russia-Ukraine conflict started, Nigerians started to experience fuel
Oh,
scarcity.
yes.
And it will interest Nigerians to know that since 2015, this is the fourth or fifth fuel scarcity we experienced. There was one in 2015, there was one in 2016, there was one in 2017, and this is the latest, so it's
Then
four.
we had a nice long,
Yeah.
just nice spell.
So now we got here, and the first thing we've always been told by the NNPC that there's a 30-day national reserve. They've always been proud to say it. This present scarcity starts and then it gives the lie to that statement. Apparently, there's no 30-day reserve anywhere.
Oh.
Now, first of all, it was a consignment of bad fuel that came in, that it contained some elements that shouldn't have been there, that they're on top of the matter, that the situation will be normalized. We then have the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and they're now strategically latching onto it, saying that most of so this is the way Nigeria works, which is really strange. We have four state-owned refineries that do next to nothing. So the NNPC enters into a direct sale, direct purchase agreement. So what that literally entails, broken down simply for our listeners, is the NNPC takes crude oil, gives it to traders. They give the NNPC the equivalent amount of refined petrol. Now, the NNPC under that arrangement owes 13 cargoes. Now, our operating allocation from OPEC is 1.3 or 1.7 million barrels a day. Unfortunately, we don't even produce 1.7, we produce about 1.3, 1.4. And inside the 1.3, 1.4, we manage to get around to producing at least 200,000 barrels of stolen every day. So we're already running a deficit.
Oh, wow.
Now, the traders are being owed 13 cargoes. And they're saying, pay us. There's no money to pay them. There's no crude oil to get them.
And now the Russian-Ukrainian war gets
Good excuse.
pulled into the mix.
Good excuse.
So what that means is, first of all, why are we not getting refined petrol from Western Europe? What's the challenge with that? Why are we going all the way to Russia, Ukraine? And how come this just became a fact? But beyond all of this, pertinent questions still need to be answered. Why are we placing all our hopes on the private refinery coming up in Lekki? One. Two, what are we planning to do about the barrels of oil being stolen every day? It cannot continue. We can't afford that.
All right, so JJ coming in on WhatsApp saying, okay, so fuel scarcity because of Russian conflict. What happened to the reserve? From the looks of things, there is none. NNPC, we hail thee, says JJ. While Shegun says, we sympathize with the Ukrainians, but they are treating Nigerians and black people badly. Ukraine should be roundly condemned for the discriminatory treatment of Nigerians trying to escape. Now, let's move on to, well, it'll be interesting to see if this fuel scarcity has. Are we calling it a fuel scarcity now? Yeah, we have to. I suppose if you can't get fuel, then there's a scarcity. From this day newspaper, primaries now April 4th to June 3rd ahead of presidential poll of February 25th, 2023. Yes, the Independent National Electoral Commission yesterday released a new timetable for the 2023 elections following the signing of the new electoral bill into law by the president, Muhammadu Buhari. Now, they've said that party primaries, including the resolution of disputes arising from them, are now scheduled for April 4th to June 3rd, 2022. And under the new timetable, INEC has shifted the presidential and National Assembly elections from February 18th to February 25th of 2023, while the governorship elections will hold on March 11th, 2023. So, Adio, we now have dates to hold on to. What do you expect to see going forward?
I hope to see the APC and the PDP get their acts together towards the primaries, which must hold between April 4th and June 3rd. This is because those who win the primaries, they must submit the nominations to INEC not later than Friday, June 17th, which gives them about a couple of weeks. So this has become the new timetable because the president finally signed the electoral bill on Friday, so they've had to move the timetable by a couple of weeks. So we're looking at the presidential elections February 25th, 2 weeks after we'll do the governorship. Um, I, 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 I just still think that when you hold the presidential elections before the governors and all, it gives some room to more manipulation for. That's my own opinion.
Okay.
For the governorship elections. Why? Because
Okay.
you already know who the president elect is, and then everybody's striving, and the parties are all striving towards how to outdo each other for the governorship. The closer the 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 governor of the party is to the president, then the better the
The
relationship.
more
Like
clouds, the more
yeah,
cachet.
yeah,
Yes, understood.
that you see. So at the end of the day, this is good news. Finally, what I continue to tell Nigerians is, if you haven't registered, go register, get your voters card, and let's look forward to 2023.
Yeah.
The days are clear now, so we have about a year, Abby.
Yeah.
Well, that's an
Roughly.
interesting way to put it. Let's look forward to 2023.
No, let's look forward to 2023.
Okay.
So very quick thoughts, and I agree with everything Wade has said. The APC that has been unable to hold a convention before now has to not only hold that convention but do it by the 2nd of June or the 1st of June 2022. So they have less. In fact,
Yeah.
we're literally in March.
Basically March.
Yeah, we're basically in
We have
March. So
about
they,
4 months.
no, they don't have
About
4
3
months,
months.
3 months.
March, April, May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have about 3 months to not only hold the convention, get the results right, and have it accepted by everyone.
Well, we'll see how
Interesting
that comes.
times.
All right. Speaking about interesting times from the Guardian newspaper, Nigeria air to fly before June 2023. This is according to the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, the ICRC, which says that Air Nigeria will begin to convey Nigerians before the end of President Buhari's administration. So the acting director general of the commission, Mr. Micah Ohiani, said that the commission is working around the clock to get it operational. So this is, I mean, we've had Nigeria Airways, Air Nigeria, and soon the soon to be functional, I don't know, Nigeria Air. So how important is it to Nigeria, to our national and our international image, for us to have this airline up and running?
Okay, thank you, Chopin. So I'll start with your question. It's important that a country, if it has the resources,
Mm-hmm. See how
should
you put
own,
that caveat in there?
if it has the resources, should own a national airline. Because one, it provides jobs for the citizens. Now, those citizens who have the jobs pay taxes. The company itself pays taxes, and you're developing your aviation industry in the process because the related field of pilots, engineers, and associated personnel, you would also be training them and employing them. So you're growing a whole industry. Now, my caveat was if there's money. Now, this report comes out, Nigeria Air to fly before June 2023. And when you read the report, it's a bit vague on when. I would have thought that you have a timeline. There are milestones. So you should know the terminal milestone when it's going to happen. So it's all still up in the air, hopeful thinking. Now, we just read from the previous story, the primaries of all the parties should be done by June 3rd, 2022. With this announcement, they're going into overdrive concerning the primaries, getting the candidates ready. Nobody's going to sit down and look at this. So I can confidently tell you there will be no traction on this before June.
But hold on, we've already had a little bit of Nigerian timing because if you remember, we had Hadi Shirka who said that the takeoff time would be April 2022. It's now being moved to June. You're now saying to June 2023. You're now saying that it could be even further along.
Yes, and we shouldn't forget that in previous budgets, monies have been budgeted and paid in respect of this airline. In the 2022 budget, there was another allocation, but I'm not sure if the money has been made available. Now, post June, when they're dealing with the fallout of the primaries and how to strategize for the 23 elections, there will still be little or no time to consider this. So it will not shock me to find out that come next year, there's no Air Nigeria.
All right, now we're sticking with airlines for our next story, but that will be after this very quick break. See you on the other side.
Honestly, anyone looking for Air Nigeria before 2023, good luck.
All right.
And Nigeria.
Do
They
you know
won't
what,
fly
you know
now.
what it
They don't even have
costs
planes.
to lease a plane, an Airbus?
They have the plane.
I didn't even want to
Something
go
about
to that. I
planes,
didn't even want
yeah.
to go there.
Huh?
Huh?
How many planes did they,
What did they say they were going to?
how many planes did
There's
they
no
want to
mention
use?
of planes in this story.
Oh
There's no
wow!
mention of planes.
People
Presidential
from
fleet,
Freshly Pressed
the
for like an
presidential
hour.
fleet alone has 15 planes.
The
You need a
things you
minimum.
need-
How many routes do you want to go to? You want to fly one
Okay,
plane
so-
to?
I don't even-
For each route, you need at least 2 planes.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah.
So what are the routes that they are
All right.
talking about?
Okay.
We're coming back in. All right, still talking about issues of the sky. Well, I suppose issues on the ground, really, as we take this article in from the Vanguard newspaper. Emir of Kano and Air Peace face-off deepens. Yes, people. The face-off between the Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, and Air Peace Airline over the weekend deepened as the Emir issued a 72-hour ultimatum to the airline to apologize or face the consequences over the alleged disrespect. Now, Wadi, I know you're going to give us all the breakdown of how this story started because this is what has been taking apart
story-
from the
the story has
invasion.
been- the
but
story
this
has been
story
trending
has
all
been
through the
trending
weekend.
all over the weekend. So there's been this back and forth between the Emir's camp and Air Peace over this matter. I mean, what is your take on it?
Okay, so first and foremost, the Emir of Kano and his entourage were coming in from Banjo via an Air Peace flight. The flight was delayed for about an hour, and then they got into Lagos late. On the on the basis that when they get into Lagos, they catch the transit flight to Kano. Now, the mere fact that the flight was delayed and the delay came as a result of Air Peace, then it is expected that Air Peace should make arrangements for them to make sure they get to Kano since it was transiting. From here, from what the first story that came out here was, they asked for the original plane to be delayed. I don't think that was right. Why? Because if a plane has already boarded, the doors are shut and it's taxiing, then you can't pull it back. You miss your slot and it could take you hours for you to get back on it. That's one. Not that there's so many planes in flying the airs in Nigeria, but that's what happened. Now, from what the spokesman is saying now, he says, for delaying us from Banjul, which cost us arriving late to Lagos, Air Peace has the moral right to accommodate or take care of us. Unfortunately, there was no option or offer to ease our situation, only for us to be left stranded, which is where the case really is.
Mm.
It was the responsibility of Air Peace to make sure that they get a flight that got them to Kano because of the delayed flight from Banjul. So if there was no flight, they should have put them on the second flight, wherever, to ease their burden. If the flights were not going to be available, they could have made arrangements with maybe another airline to fly them to Kano. If that wasn't also available, then they should actually provide for them some form of succor. Maybe put them in a hotel,
Accommodation until
accommodate
they can get
them,
them
feed
onto
them
another
until they
flight.
could get them onto
Mm.
another flight. But the Air Peace is claiming that they offered to put them on a flight to Abuja. And the spokesman is saying, oh, he was the one that suggested it, and they said the flights were full. I really don't know. It's this is an issue of my word against yours. So let them let the authorities who already have been written to investigate the complaints, check what exactly transpired. Their logs, their telephone logs, they can get them from the telephone companies of 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 the owners of the phone who they claimed, received calls here
Mm.
and there, and that way we'll find who is culpable. Was it the fact that Airpeace did not make the right arrangements for them? If that's the case, then Airpeace will be culpable for not doing that. But you cannot tell an airline, nowhere in the world can you tell an airline to pull back a
Bring the
plane.
plane back. Mm.
If it was, for instance, they were already at the airport in Lagos, and you said, okay, delayed for 15 minutes. That makes sense. That means you not shut the door, but you shut the doors and it's taxing, please.
All right, we've got your messages coming in up on Twitter and up on youtube.com/smooth91 FM Lagos. Papa Femi up on YouTube says Ukraine playing the victim of war. Meanwhile, they are discriminating racially in their evacuation plans. I can't believe anyone would trust words from NNPC. He says, he goes on to say names, and we go on to more messages. Chika from Marina says, on this Emir versus Airp saga, my humble question is, which of the emirs to be precise? Because the last time I checked, there were four emirs in Kano. Well, Chika, you know which. Moving on. Oludare says, why is this even news? A private airline operating under strict regulatory principles should delay its operations for one man? Will the Emir of Kano wait for an ordinary man to board a flight? Please get a private jet and stop disturbing the peace of private businesses, says Dari. Oh, wow. Okay, then. Moving on. This one in from Gilbert says, on Air Nigeria, if we don't address the mistake of Nigeria Airways, the reason it collapsed in 2003, the reason Virgin Nigeria failed in 2008, 2009, the reason Air Nigeria was halted after 2010 initially, the proposed national carrier might not last. Gilbert, thank you for that message. And I've got this one in from Sarah too, who says, before Nigeria Air kicks off, I hope the ex-staff of Nigeria Airways will be paid their remaining entitlements. Oh, oh, you people on your messages, keep sending them in, keep sending them in. Got this one in Fidelis from Jumalu saying, on the blackout between Airpeace and the Emir of Kano, is this how they also apologize when we are staggered? When they stagger our flights over time at the airport, I think. So why now? He doesn't say all of us are equal, please. More messages are coming in, but we do have more stories now from the Punch newspaper. IGP orders probe of missing 91,985 AK-47 rifles and others. And we heard from the folks from the force spokesman Muiwa Adejobi, who says, "Well, that number is on the high side. I don't think we would have lost such a number of weapons. What we need to do is reconcile our report with the one being quoted because we have our records too." And he's obviously referencing the report by the Auditor General of the Federation in for 2019, which revealed quite a number of weapons and ammunition missing. Mrs. C, your take on this?
Okay, thank you, Shopper. So, the Auditor General of the Federation, in his 2019 report, indicated that no fewer than 178,459 pieces of armament were missing from the police army. Now, that is the 2019 figure. What were the figures for 2018, 2017, 2016, 2015? What were the figures for 2020?
And
It'll be interesting
what
to.
will be the figures for 2021?
Yeah. So, yeah, correct. Thank you, Wadi. Now, Nigerians, you need to listen to this. And this is the police spokesman saying this. The force places a high premium on the issue of arms and ammunition. Nothing can be more ridiculous. If you place the high premium on the use of arms and ammunition, on the issue of arms and ammunition, you will not be recording such high figures. Yes, there have been attacks on police stations, there have been attacks on policemen, but this is unusually high. And he then goes on later in the report to say that maybe their records do not align, maybe the records have to be reconciled. So it speaks to the record keeping culture within the Nigerian police force.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, but it is what it is. This cannot be that high. And he suggests that every month, for each state police command, the assistant commissioner of police for operations takes stock. So if this is done on a monthly basis across the federation, how did we get here? Now, what is more interesting is after this exercise, are we going to hear anything? Fingers crossed.
Well, we'll see. All right, now let's take a look at this article in from this day newspaper. The headline reads: In line with CBN's directive, banks expose clients with suspicious dollar transactions. Now, this is in line, like the headline says, with the CBN resolve of the Central Bank of Nigeria to halt a regime of arbitrage in the foreign exchange markets. Well, some Nigerian banks started exposing the identities of customers who allegedly obtained dollars by false pretense and traded them at a profit in the parallel market. It's quite an interesting one, an interesting line to take with what is quite obviously fraudulent behavior. But Owade, your thoughts on this?
For me, this is good news. Quite a number of people buy either the personal travel allowance or the business travel allowance, and they don't travel and they don't return the money. The guideline says if you don't travel, then you should return. You should refund the money within 2 weeks. This is good news. Start to publish the names, but we should go further after this. It's not just individuals we should be looking at. We should be looking at companies and organizations who either inflate their pro forma invoices to get additional funds of CBN so that they can sell that off the market and all. So for me, I guess the CBN is beginning to clamp down. CBN has said that by the end of 2022, they're going to stop selling foreign exchange to the banks, and I guess the banks are trying to also ensure that they don't get onto the wrong side of the CBN, because what you find today is there's already 137% markup. If I buy at 416, I can sell as high as 570. That's ridiculous. Even getting it from CBN into the bank, there's already a 20% markup.
When we have differentials, margins that wide, it's a pretty
then you know why
beautiful invitation.
Why the business is
Booming.
yeah.
Oh.
Even with the banks.
So the big question is, why don't you just collapse all the rates, have a uniform rate, official, parallel? When you do that, there will be no incentive to engage in this sort of activity.
Well, that I can answer.
I love the silence in the studio. Okay, let's very quickly take this last article from the Premium Times. Polio. Nigerian government sets measures against importation. This is part of measures to prevent the importation of the wild polio virus into the country. The government has said it has reconstituted the Expert Review Committee on Polio Eradication and Routine Immunization. Wadi.
Quick one. Polio was eradicated in Nigeria as well a couple of a year and a half ago in August 2020. But all of a sudden in Africa, polio has practically been overcome. But all of a sudden, a child in Malawi had the polio virus type 2, which means it's coming back. So I encourage parents, even adults who haven't taken the vaccines, from time to time, people around, you see them, the workers who go around to give you the polio vaccines, please take them, and let's continue and ensure that polio is eradicated completely from Africa.
All right, and that is where we end the show for today, gentlemen. Thank you so much. You can find them up on Twitter. Both of them, you can find Mr. C at Monsieur C with triple E at the end, whilst you can find Uwade at Uwade Ahimi _. Both of them up on Twitter, and of course, If you're like, how do I spell those? All you need to do is go to at smooth981 FM. We've been posting about them and also posted all the topics from Freshly Pressed. So go check us out up on Twitter. Follow us and watch out for all the posts that we bring your way about all the shows that we have coming your way.
First back.
My ears, people. Thank you for joining us for today's Freshly Pressed. Coming, oh wow, I love, do you hear the behind the scenes directions? Coming up next, 10 past 8, we've got Lagos Talks.